Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
What is going on, folks? Welcome into the Fairways of Life show. We have live golf that is underway as we're coming on the air this morning. Women's Olympic golf is happening as we speak. Let's go ahead and get you a leaderboard of what we have now. Bear in mind that this leaderboard, as we give it to you, is from when Andrew just completed it a couple minutes ago. So it could be changing as we speak. Lilia Vu leading the way, currently at 4 under par. You can see Boutier is at 3 under. Can you imagine if Celine is able to win in France hosting the Olympic Games, how big that would be for the country? A couple tied at 2 under, even more tied at 1 under par. We'll continue to give you more on that as we go. I am just about on my way to head to host the Wyndham Championship for ESPN Plus PGA Tour Live. And the weather is going to be absolutely horrific as this tropical storm that chewed up the side of the western side of the Florida Peninsula is making its way across Florida and slamming straight into this part of the Carolinas. Dom, I imagine that weather given you guys in Raleigh is awful too in the days that lie in store. Thursday forecast, rain and thunderstorms likely, windy, rain probability 90%. Friday, showers and thunderstorms likely, 70 to 40%. The thing that I'd like to point out to you, though, is take a look at Thursday and Friday in terms of rain totals. All right, so what do you want to call Thursday when they tell you it's 2 to 4 inches? Say 3 inches then, right? Average it. And then another inch on Friday. So 4 inches on that golf course. Can that course take that much water? And what is it going to mean? Well, we know what it's going to mean. At least lift, clean, in place to start. So look for the players to go low, at least those that are not playing in sideways winds, because the wind gusts on Thursday are expected to be upwards to 35 miles per hour. It's not an exact science. And on Friday, gusts at 25 miles per hour. And then after that, it settles down for Saturday and Sunday. The importance being to all of this is that as this is the last event of the regular season, then there's a lot of players that are fighting to stay inside the mark so they can move on to the FedEx Cup playoffs, because remember that mark is only 70. And then there'll be a lot of players that are fighting to get back inside of the top 70. So if you're looking at it from a tour's perspective and go, gosh, everything about this is screaming 54 holes, because you noticed on that graphic, Andrew gave us Monday as well, because you've got an event, and I get it, it's before the playoffs, and it's a non-signature event. I get all that. But think about, for the livelihood of these players, how important going 72 holes is. You need every single one of those 72 holes and every shot within to try to seal your fate on whether you're moving on or not, and everything else that goes along with it. You know, you catch lightning in a bottle, you get yourself inside of the top 50, you get in the signature events for next year. That after the BMW. I mean, it's all really important. So all of that hangs in the balance. But Dom, I asked you a question, so I'll bring you in because I am curious about it. What are they saying for you in the metro Raleigh area in terms of how much this storm's going to slam into you guys too?
Sorry, I'm just texting some people about what's going on. It sucks. What do you want from me? The weather sucks. It's raining right now. It's going to keep raining. It's never going to stop raining. Yeah, yeah. It rained all day yesterday. It's raining right now. It's going to rain all day today, tomorrow. And I just want to read a portion of the PGA Tour's official forecast. I know we were showing just sort of the graphic pictures there.
I always think the Tour's forecast it hedges on the optimistic side. Periods of sunshine.
It ain't good.
Oh, okay.
It's not good. Debbie is expected to move inland Thursday and continue to be to the northwest before shifting northward across central North Carolina. That's me. Friday morning. So we haven't even gotten hit yet, and we're already getting slammed. That's where I am in Raleigh. This will produce widespread rain and a few thunderstorms throughout the day on Thursday, with showers and isolated thunderstorms continuing into Friday. Scattered showers will decrease Friday afternoon, right? Okay? So all day Thursday and a majority of Friday, okay? Until the system pulls away. Heavy rain will be likely. Rainfall amounts averaging conservatively, like Matt said, 4 to 7 inches.
Whoa, that's more than what we had in
before
that
tapering
forecast.
off Friday evening. Partly cloudy skies return for the weekend. So I think, as you see there with the Monday on this is again the Tour's official forecast, and they're putting Monday on there.
Yeah.
I cannot envision a scenario where they're not playing golf on Monday right now. There's no way they play golf on Thursday. There's just no way. They're getting 4 to 5 inches of rain. It's just going to be, and the wind's blowing 30. I mean, what are they going to play for 40 minutes? Why would you do that? Just let the guys stay in, right? You know you're going to finish on Monday.
I don't know. I mean, the other part of it is you've got the FedEx Cup playoffs starting, and the Tour, I'm sure, is going to be reticent, although I don't think they have any choice in this regard. They're going to be reticent to, you would think, interrupt the flow of that week and all that it means, because players that are playing on Monday, some of them may not be able to get there until Tuesday, meaning that, in fact, just do me a favor, just for the heck of it, do a quick little search and tell me what you find for weather for Memphis for next week, because if players are going to be traveling, those that make the cut, obviously, are going to be traveling on Tuesday because they'll be playing on Monday, and then will they run into thunderstorms, typical southern thunderstorms in August on Tuesday afternoon, meaning they may or may not get a practice round in on Wednesday. I'm just telling you, this has got a lot of. What is it? What does it say? 1,000 degrees?
Yeah. That's exactly what it says. I'm not really kidding. It's the tournament conditions will be between 94 and 97 degrees. And it'll be hotter because it'll just be out there baking in the sun.
Yeah.
So it's going to feel like 1,000 degrees.
They call it heat index. Yeah, heat index.
Yeah, the heat index. So there's a slight chance of
forget?
rain currently, like 20% for a couple of the tournament days. But
that's not bad.
And the practice days and the travel days, it's 90 degrees, no problems. So that won't be an issue.
Who could forget the image of Lucas Glover last year on his march to victory?
Thank you for that.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for planting that image in our minds. Yes, exactly. All right, so we'll see how it all plays out. All I know is I'm supposed to be on the air at 7:15 a.m. tomorrow morning. And
I wonder what you'll be reporting on.
I don't know. Just it might be.
I have this cup. It's filling with water 1 inch per minute.
I've got Jay Townsend. If I don't know. I can't remember because I've never faced a scenario where they're like, yeah, we're just not on the air. From what I remember, I was there hosting one time when we had a thunderstorm, and there's different feeds. There's 4 different feeds. And I was on the main feed, and I was with Jeff Sluman. And so they basically went to prior coverage, and in our case, because it'd be Thursday, they'd go to the prior year. And they went to prior coverage, and every 20 minutes they'd have us pop on and go, situation's not good. Jeff, you've played 1 million tournaments. What do you do during a rain delay? And he says, well, sometimes I get something to eat. Sometimes I go and try to find a place to take a nap. Sometimes I might play some cards. Okay, thanks. We'll be back with another update in a little while. 20 minutes later, rinse and repeat. Here we go. Okay, so we'll see what's going on with that as well. I mentioned to you that women's Olympic golf is underway. 23 of the top 50 players in the Rolex rankings, including 9 of the top 10 players, are in the field this week. Top 10 players, including Nelly Court of the United States, Lilia Vu of the USA, Amy Yang of South Korea, Jin Young Ko of South Korea, Ronin Yin of China, Hannah Green of Australia, Celine Boutier of France, number 9, Rose Zhang of the United States, number 10, Yuka Sasso of Japan, all in the field. 10 winners on... Oh, wait a minute. Tom just told me there's a field list in my headset, so I can look up and you can see it right there. 60 scheduled at the start of the tournament for play. Maybe your favorites are in there. Maybe there's a particular country that you're interested in and who represents them and how they are doing. You can see that the United States has 3 players. All the other countries listed, I believe all the others. I'd have to look through that to confirm that nobody else has more than 2. Korea has 3 as well. The reason why, that's what I was searching for. The reason why is because if the players are ranked in the top 15 in the world, you can have up to 4. So the Republic of Korea, that's South Korea with 3, and the United States with 3, meaning that both countries have 3 players in the top 15. And that's the reason why they have more than the 2 that are competing. And this was another thing that kind of confused people. Actually got into a discussion with a guy at a restaurant one night who was convinced that I was wrong when I told him. I said, no, it's individual stroke play. He said, no. They're teammates. They're playing as teams. I was like, no, they're not. They're playing as individuals. So the fact that the United States has 3 or South Korea has 3, theoretically it gives them, 33% better chance of having someone medal representing the country, but it doesn't give them any greater chance to win as a team because they're not competing as a team. They're competing. They are part of the United States Olympic team, mind you, but they're not competing as a team. They're competing as individuals. As to the play and when it's taking place, if you want to see it, there it is. Women's Olympic golf is underway right now. It starts at 3 a.m. Eastern time. 3 a.m. Eastern time is the start time, and you can catch the golf on Golf Channel throughout. So it would be, there he is, Thursday, today, and then coming up, it will be Thursday through Saturday at 3 a.m. Eastern time for the coverage of the Women's Olympic Golf, which is, again, underway right as we speak. All right, more to go through in the Fairways of Life show today. There was a big announcement yesterday as to how players can qualify for the European Ryder Cup team. And when the news initially came out, there seemed to be a generalized panic that is this, call it somehow a circling of the wagons by the European Tour? Is this made to build up definitive walls to keep players that are not competing in the DP World Tour or on the PGA Tour actively week in and week out of the Ryder Cup? That's not what it is. We'll explain when we come back. The Fairways of Life show is presented by the PGA Tour Superstore. Yeah, the #1 golf retailer, coast to coast. They are the best in the business because you're shopping with professionals. Look, you can buy golf equipment at a lot of different places, and you can buy it at big box sporting goods stores. But those same people that you're talking to might be selling you a pair of sneakers over here or weight equipment over there or a fishing lure in that part of the store. They are not professionals. Don't you want to buy your equipment from someone that actually knows what they're talking about? That's exactly what you get at the PGA Tour Superstore.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The Gen 6 iron is a culmination of everything that we have learned as a team, the absolute best golf club I've ever hit. It's something special. Say hello to the new PXG Gen 6 iron. The longest, most accurate irons we've ever made. They go higher and farther than any iron that I have hit to date, and they're so easy to hit. Super excited for the consumer to try these. They're gonna love them.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm going to go after PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're going to need all the easy you can get. Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
As we welcome you back to the Fairways of Life show, pleasure, folks, to have your company. As we mentioned, women's golf is underway. 10 winners on the LPGA during the 2024 season are represented. They have a combined 15 events that they were victorious in this year, including both winners of the Dow Team Championship. The winners are Nelly Korda with 6 victories, Hannah Green, the HSBC Women's World Championship, and the JM Eagle LA Championship, Lilia Vu, Myers Classic, Ronan Yin with the Dow Championship, Amy Yang, the KPMG Women's PGA, Rose Zhang, the Cognizant Founders Cup, Yuka Sasso, the United States Women's Open, Ataya Tidikul with the Dow Championship, Lydia Ko with the Hilton Grand Vacations Tournament Champions, Patty Tavatanakit with the Honda LPGA Thailand. There are 15 major champions in the field. 33 different countries are represented in the graphic that we showed you earlier in the field. There's 37 players in the field who have previous Olympic game experience, including 15 players who competed in both 2016 and 2021 heading into this year. The youngest player in the field, Shannon Tan of Singapore. You see Singapore right up there? Of the ripe old age of 20. The oldest player in the field from Finland is Ursula Wilkström, who is 44 years old. As we mentioned, play is underway right now. You can catch that action live on Golf Channel if you are so inclined. So I was telling you about the changes to how players will qualify for the Ryder Cup. This is the announced within the last 24 hours new criteria of how European Ryder Cup qualification will go. Only one Ryder Cup points list. Remember, there used to be a DP World Tour points list and a so-called World points list. And from what we understand, these are changes that were driven by the captain that you see there, Luke Donald. 5,000 points for major championships, 3,000 points for the players, signature events, and FedEx Cup playoffs. 2,000 points for DP World Tour Rolex Series events. 2,000 points for 2025 PGA Tour regular FedEx Cup events. 1,500 points for DP World Tour back 9 events. 1,000 points for DP World Tour Global Series events. These are basically based upon purse sizes and the importance that they place on the regular ones. 1,000 points for a 2025 PGA Tour Opposite Field event. So the teams will be the top 6 from points, and then, of course, the 6 captains' picks. That's based upon what Luke wants to do for his team. Eligibility, and this is the devil in the detail, right? This is what I was talking about before the break. must be European as defined by the IGF and must be in membership of the DP World Tour. Qualification concludes on Sunday, the 24th of August in 2025, so that they can compete at Bethpage Black. Okay, a couple of different observations. One is, for years, the DP World Tour, formerly called the European Tour, has maintained the posture that, look, we don't claim to be the PGA Tour. We get that the PGA Tour is larger purses. We get that the best players in the world, by and large, want to go to principally the United States and play on the PGA Tour. We accept that. But if a player is looking to stay, players from, say, Europe, because that's the context of our discussion right now, if a player is from Europe and they want to play closer to home and they want to see and experience a variety of countries and cultures as they play, then the DP World Tour is a pretty good option. Along the way, the DP World Tour, whether it was their Rolex events, which were rolled out with great fanfare, that have greatly been restricted as of late, and that's a matter of where you're at in terms of sponsors and who wants to be behind it, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, those are the realities of the world that we live in. So they're doing what they had to do. Remember, this is impacted by a lot of things, including how COVID impacted the game at a professional level, et cetera. You could argue to say, well, how much does LIV have to do with that? Don't know, but it would be an interesting discussion to have about whether taking some of the stars, and there were a good number of big names from predominantly the DP World Tour that went to LIV. Did that hurt the strength of field? Does that hurt sponsors who otherwise might have been hanging around and saying, yeah, but you don't have as much of the star power as you had at the top tier? I'm not sure that's as relative now as it was even just a couple of years ago when players started to sign to the other tour, because some of those players were already getting a little bit long in the tooth, and even more so at this juncture. But the point structure is the thing that I wanted to start with, because now it's not question of just theory. This is the European Tour, or let me phrase it so I'm using the correct terminology. This is the European Ryder Cup, which is under the umbrella and administration of the DP World Tour, formerly known as the European Tour, saying this is where we view our events relative to the importance of a PGA Tour event. They also obviously did it relative to the importance of a major and the players and signature events and FedEx Cup playoffs. And what they're basically saying is that the most points that you can get, and Dom, do me a favor and pull up for DP World Tour Rolex Series events so I know which events they are specifically, because I don't have direct recall, obviously, as it wraps up the end of the year, et cetera. But I'd like to know specifically, event by event, what we're talking about here. Because what we're looking at here is 5,000 points for a major championship. Fine, fair enough. You want a major champion to be on your team. I get it. 3,000 points for the players, signature events, and the FedEx Cup playoffs. Now, the only thing that I'm surprised by is that they don't give, like, you don't see anywhere in that chart where they're giving points for someone who wins the FedEx Cup at the end of it. You won the FedEx Cup, congratulations, because those events also fall under signature events. So you're going to get at least 3,000 points if you win a signature event, but theoretically you could win the FedEx Cup and not win a playoff event. Right? Theoretically, you can do it. I mean, the fact that Scotty has a shot is reality. But nonetheless, the reason why I'm saying that is I would think I would have put in, if you won the race to Dubai, that would have been a 3,000 point bonus. Right? And maybe they're looking at going, hey, look, if you won the race to Dubai, you're playing well enough that you're going to have enough points to qualify anyway. So you don't need to worry about that. 2,000 points for a DP World Tour Rolex Series event. So what they're saying is that the biggest events during the run of the season on the DP World Tour I'm using their point structure. This is their point structure, are 2/3 of the value of the players or any of the signature events or the FedEx Cup playoffs, which are signature events. 2/3. Dom, what are the 5 Rolex Series events on the DP World Tour right now?
The first one is the Hero Dubai Desert Classic, which takes place in January. Ironically, Rory McIlroy won that this year. The next one is the Genesis Scottish Open, which historically was won in incredible fashion this year by Bob McIntyre. These are all of these events, by the way, have $9 million purses, which is really what all this is based around. And then you have, of course, the BMW PGA Championship, which is coming up later on in September. And then they wrap the season up in November with back-to-back Rolex Series events, the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship, followed by their Tour Championship, the DP World Tour Championship, where they crown their Race to Dubai champion. So those are the 5 events that are Rolex Series events that, on that graphic we showed you, are worth 2,000 points over the course of the Ryder Cup qualification.
Got it. Hero Dubai Desert Classic, the Scottish Open, the BMW PGA Championship at Wentworth, the Abu Dhabi HSBC, the World Tour Championship in Dubai are the Rolex Series events. And you heard Dom allude to the fact that the purses of $9 million are being compared to a purse of $25 million, $20 million, FedEx Cup events, $20 million. They're saying, well, you can't give the same amount of points when you're talking about different amounts of dollars. That's where I look at it and go, I'm not sure I agree with that. I mean, I think, again, this is your point structure. And I'm basing this on what I hear from a lot of my friends that are past or current competitors on the DP World Tour, formerly known as the European Tour. And there is a little bit of consternation that nobody's claiming that the former European Tour is consummate with the PGA Tour, but it still, to me, hits differently when you come out with a point structure that literally says, and there's other ways you can measure this and tell me it already exists, and like, I respect that perspective, but this just came out. And you're saying, no, we're basically conceding it's not the same. Go to that graphic again for me, Andrew. So, I don't know. I bet there was a lot of debate on this and where they settled on this. I could see, if it's a Rolex Series event, I think I would have put maybe it was the World Tour Championship in Dubai, or as I said, a bonus for the person who wins the race Dubai. I think I would have put that at the same level, just to say we have events that we view as that level of stature. And then I think I probably would have done another 25. Maybe I know I'm getting in the weeds here, but that's what we do. I would have probably done 2,500 points for at least the BMW PGA Championship. That's the flagship event of the European Tour. These are your points. You're not fighting with the PGA Tour. You're not insulting anybody. It just looks like they've gone way out of their way to ensure to say, hey, majors I get. PGA Tour, though, we're not stepping on your toes. Your players and your signature events, your FedEx Cup events included, those are worth a lot more than anything we do. I don't know. Am I wrong on that? Right? So I realize this is the new big world that we're living in. But if you remember the criticism that people had for the way that the game is starting to define itself, particularly with those that are not otherwise exempt, the top 10 on the final Race to Dubai points in the European Tour get membership onto the PGA Tour. Notably, Matthew Pavone is one who did that and won. He's not the only one, but I'm just giving you as an example. And the criticism was, well, have we become a feeder system now for the PGA Tour? Were you not, in essence, if you look at the stars and the flow, were you not a feeder system of the PGA Tour otherwise, in terms of at least aspiration, not with now they have a clear pathway? But I just think it hits differently when you come out with a points structure and say, no, we're flat out saying this is where we think the weight of our events stand relative to the weights of these other events that take place on the PGA Tour. Do you agree with me? It's interesting. Dom, I forgot to ask you if you even did a question of the day today.
I did have a question of the day. It was surrounding Jordan Spieth and his potential wrist surgery. I asked the question. It's totally unrelated to what we're talking about, obviously. We'll talk about it a little bit later,
asked you for it.
We have Jordan Spieth sound from him coming up, specifically talking about his wrist problem. And I just said, is Jordan Spieth's career over at this point? Like, is he not going to get back to where he was ever? And 18% are saying yes, 59% are saying no, and 23% are saying we really got to see how this wrist thing goes, how this surgery goes, whether or not that's going to impact whether he can continue and get back to the heights that he was in 2015-ish.
All right, so some people are hedging their bet based upon what Jordan does.
Can I make a comment about that Ryder Cup thing, though?
Yeah. We're not done talking about it, but you go right ahead.
Well, Andrew, put the graphic back up. I'm curious if you disagree with me, Matt. I look at this and I say, this is why they keep winning the Ryder Cup, especially in Europe. They don't care about doing things that might be politically correct. They're doing what is necessary to win the Ryder Cup. And so they look at this and they go, yeah, the PGA Tour events are worth more and they're more important, and that's how it is. And we want the best players from Europe, and that's where they are, so here's our new plan. And they don't care about people complaining. They're just like, listen, this is what we need to do. So
yeah, but I actually, it's interesting you have that perspective because mine is complete opposite of yours. I think what they did with this points is what this is politically correct. I'm not saying it's not a reflection of what reality may be in terms of the importance of one to the other, but this is their point list where they are saying the most important points should be generated, and it looks to me like they acquiesced to the PGA Tour.
How is this politically correct? They're saying that all of the PGA Tour events are more important than all of their events. It's literally what they're saying.
But I don't believe that if you are the DP World Tour, if these are your events, that you should concede that, for example, you pick it, that a signature event, by virtue of the fact that it has a larger purse, is more important than the BMW PGA Championship, which they view as the most important or the second most important event that they have on their entire schedule. The World Tour Championship in Dubai is an incredibly important event to them. That is the conclusion of their race to Dubai. So what I'm saying is I don't think there's anything wrong with having the pride and the conviction in those flagship events on your tour and saying, no, in our mind, they are equivalent to. But there was clearly a sensitivity to saying, no, don't get us wrong. We're not saying. I think that's a political correctness. They're literally saying, we're not telling you they're equivalent to a signature event. No. Even our BMW PGA Championship is a notch below that, please. It just seems to me like it was they acquiesced. And I'm looking at it going,
I just find it so ironic that they're going to build their team basically off of a PGA Tour list. I just think
that was the world list. That's how they folded it into one list. They always could have done this, but in the past they put an emphasis on playing on the DP World Tour. That was the non-politically correct thing to do, is to use your parlance with it. And so they had a separate list, and they would pull guys off that if they weren't otherwise already qualified. And then they had the world list, which was their way of saying, we have to have a world list because our top players, and more, if we put it in modern terms like Rory, are playing on the PGA Tour. Jon Rahm playing on the PGA Tour. Wait, Jon Rahm? How does this impact Jon Rahm? So when it came out, Dom called me and he said, what have they done here? Have they literally built walls to keep Jon Rahm, maybe Tyrrell Hatton, from playing on their Ryder Cup team? Is this a shift? And when he called me, and you were pretty upset when you called me about it, I was like, no, it's actually the complete opposite. We'll explain after this.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm-up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
What if we started a company and the company was under no time constraints, no financial constraints? The one constraint is their clubs had to be exceptional performers and much better than any other alternative. I was told time and again it'll never work. It worked like a house of fire. And I'll tell you what, I think our customers love it. BXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Welcome back to Fairways Life Show today. We've been talking away even in the break here. So the big question is, after this announcement was made, was what does this mean for Jon Rahm? I see Tyrrell Hatton would be in that mixture too, but what does this mean for Jon Rahm? That's where the big focus has been. Because Jon Rahm announces that he's going to play for LIV, remember? And almost immediately you had Rory McIlroy going, we have to have him on the European Ryder Cup team. So here's a graphic that Andrew and Dom just put together. LIV players for Ryder Cup, ? Jon Rahm, Tyrrell Hatton absolutely want to. In the mix, maybe Adrian Moreau, Thomas Peters has played in the Ryder Cup. David Bush, who knows, right? So relative to Jon Rahm, here is the reality. There are players, for example, like Sergio, that's not on that list because Sergio has dropped his European Tour membership. I'm out. Peace out. Out of here. Well, you have to be a member of the DP World Tour. That if we saw it on that graphic. So for Jon Rahm, it's different. Basically, the way that it works, and there is a gray area I'm about to share with you in a second because I asked Dom to pull this up. Basically, the way that this works is that if you are still a DP World Tour member and you play in non-sanctioned events, which the LIV events would be, then you are subject to a fine. You're also subject to a suspension. And some time ago, we were told that the suspension plays itself out in DP World Tour events, even if you weren't desiring to play in those DP World Tour events. I know it sounds a little funny to you, but take, for example, so say you wanted to play in the BMW PGA Championship, and they said, oh, no, is that what you want to play in? If that's what you want to play in, now you're suspended from that. Instead, because they didn't know where these players wanted to play in, they would suspend them from the very next European Tour event that they're otherwise not scheduled to be in. Meaning that if they decided that they wanted to play, they can't. However, to the point of the fines, those fines have to be paid to put you in good standing. Now, from what we understand of Jon Rahm, this was from last month. Jon Rahm quoted as saying, I haven't paid yet, but again, I just don't know when I'm going to play. It could very well be a chance because it hasn't been the easiest pregnancy that I just simply don't have the chance to tee off. My mind is not thinking on that right now. That's Jon Rahm talking about whether he intends to pay the fines or not. That's the way I read that. I read that by Jon Rahm saying, look, if I don't have any intention to play on the European Tour, if I'm basically saying I'm done with the Ryder Cup, this is Jon Rahm who went 3-0-1 in Rome. If Jon Rahm's saying, if I'm done with the Ryder Cup, I'm not paying the figures. I'm not paying the money, which it's speculated that his fines are well into the six figures. Now, Guy Kiddings is the chief executive of the DP World Tour. And relative to this question of whether a LIV player can remain a DP World Tour player, because the default presumption was that they can't because they are not able to do that on the PGA Tour. The DP World Tour never took up that position. It's very significant what I'm telling you here. The DP World Tour never said, if you play for them, you can't play for us. Here's Guy Kiddings' quote. He said, I think there's been a slight misconception because the reality is under the current rules, if a player is European and is a member of the DP World Tour and abides by the rules as they currently are, so if you don't get a release, there are sanctions, and if you accept those sanctions and take those penalties and work with that, there is no reason why players who've taken LIV membership but maintain membership with the DP World Tour could not A, qualify, or B, be available for selection, close quote. So you have to remember what you need to do to have membership. You have to play a minimum of 4 events, and this is outside the majors, outside of co-sanction, for example. So what Jon Rahm is saying is, with my wife's having a child in the fall, I don't know when I'm going to be able to play, but he would have to coddle together 4 events, and he would have to pay the back fines. The question is, and this is where I talked about this kind of gray area, is what are the fines? How much? So, and that's where it gets a little bit murky. Dom, I want to bring you back in here again because I asked you to look this up before we went on the air, and you said to me in the headset that you're having trouble finding the number. We had thought that the number was 100,000 pounds for each event that you competed in other words, a LIV event that you competed in that would conflict, right? But it may not be that simple. What are you seeing and hearing, Dominic?
So there's various different things coming in. Sports Illustrated says the fines were 75,000 pounds per event and also come with a 1-week DP World Tour suspension per event, which in theory would play out if and when these players attempt to go back to playing the DP World Tour events or any events at all. This from the Associated Press. The tour has already issued fines of 100,000 pounds, which is $125,000, to 17 players who played in their first 2 LIV golf events outside London and Portland. Now it is going after 26 players with fines that range from 12,500 pounds to 100,000 pounds for each tournament they played without a release. The tour, this is a quote from Henrik Stenson, This was a quote from last year, but again, this is when all this stuff was unfolding. Quote, the tour has taken a stand on the LIV events we all played in, and that left me with no decision to make, really. Stenson said he did not have an exact amount of his fine, saying only it was anywhere between £50,000, which is $62,000, and £70,000, which is $94,000 American dollars, for each LIV event that he played. And then I'll just read one more thing here. This came from the Telegraph. Again, different sources here, and each source has seemingly a different dollar amount, and they're ranging. The DP World Tour is poised to hit members who joined LIV Golf with unprecedented fines that are up to $629,000. And if they resign their memberships, especially as it'll be made clear those punishments will keep them the longer they remain in the league. And then it says, again, there's lots of stuff here. Westwood and Poulter each paid $126,000 in penalties, well, Sergio Garcia, which is something that Matt referred to just a moment ago, refused to send his check, quote. Telegraph notes it believed that LIV has transferred more than $880,000 to the DP World Tour just before the Wednesday deadline. Again, this story and quote, these are in reference to stuff that happened last year. So obviously this is a moving target, but you can see, Matt, how 3 different sources are giving me not the same dollar amount and also ranges of dollar amounts. So I don't know if it is at the discretion of the DP World Tour to say, well, this player is more important or this tournament is more important, so their fine is going to be higher or lower.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. That last source that you had also implied that the sanctions, as it's called in the DP World Tour, these fines, were being paid in some way, shape, or form, whole or part, by LIV sending money. So it's really interesting. And then another one claimed that the players were stroking checks on their own. So it's fascinating. But the bottom line is that relative to focusing the discussion for this purpose on Jon Rahm can be a part of the European Ryder Cup team. In order for Jon Rahm to be a part of the European Ryder Cup team, Jon Rahm has to play in a minimum of 4 events to maintain his membership, and he has to pay the back fines. And it would seem to me that, this is my speculation solely right now, is that one of the bridges that has to be crossed in this instance is the debate that you have of whether with what you have contributed to golf at large and what you have contributed to golf on the DP World Tour, and perhaps even more so to the Ryder Cup effort therein, is it fair to ask a player, regardless of how much money, because I know people are going to sit out there and go, well, we heard he made $300 million. We don't actually know what he got paid, but it was a lot. And if it's that much, do you stroke the check? Do you find a way to play in the 4 events? And if that's the case, for example, I believe the Spanish Open is in, no, the Open de España, not the Open de España. Yeah, September, isn't that September 26th, if I'm not mistaken? On the DP World Tour? Dom could check me on that. Which you'd think that that'd be something that he would want to be a part of for sure. But I would think on some level there might be a debate, again, my speculation, about a matter of principle of, let's say he owes, I don't know what it would be. Let's say it's $750,000 or $1 million or $1.5 million, whatever the number is. Because again, it seems to be a moving target. John just whispered in my ear, he has the money, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the principle of saying, are you going to spend $1.5 million to be a part of the Ryder Cup? Is that worth that to you?
So LIV Golf Tour Championship, Matt, is the same weekend as the BMW PGA Championship on the DP World Tour.
Okay.
So he obviously these LIV guys
are going to hit something.
Contracts, so they're not going to be at that event. However, to your point, the Spanish Open, or the Open de España as they call it, is the week after the BMW PGA Championship at the end of September, which also is the week after LIV's team championship finals. So he will, or I shouldn't say that. He is certainly, in theory, available that week to go and play that event if he so chooses.
Save for whatever's going on with his wife having the baby or what have you.
He's going to be on the, like, no one else on the LIV Tour matters for the Ryder Cup other than Jon Rahm, in my opinion. And they're going to find a way to get him on the team.
I think Terrell Hatton is a good one to have a discussion
maybe. But the reality is,
I realize
I don't know about all these details, but I know Jon Rahm is going to be on a Ryder Cup team.
John was the one.
I don't care how they do it. It's going to happen.
Exactly. John was the one that when he went, literally Rory was like, he's got to be on a team. Hey, what do you think about Jon Rahm joining LIV? He's got to be on a Ryder Cup team. Got to figure it out.
We're going to figure out a way to do it.
And there seems
I don't know
to
how
be,
it works. I don't know anything about fines. I don't know anything about anything, but I know he'll be on a Ryder Cup team.
And there seems to be on the U.S. side, I don't know how it's going to play itself out because this was the initial press conference with Keegan Bradley, and somebody, one of the scribes, like, Keegan, what do you think about the guys who went to LIV? And he was like, again, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, I want the best players in my team, full stop. Now, I don't know after he did that if a bunch of the people huddled later on were like, what are we going to do about this now? Right? Because early on, when poor Zach Johnson was asked that question, he had a him and haw on it about who would get on the team and who didn't. He was like, well, they can qualify, but the only way they can qualify is if they make enough points during the majors, right? Which maybe Bryson's going to do now. Instead of Brooks this time, it'll be Bryson. So we'll see how it plays itself out. All right, when we come back, Don was talking about Jordan Spieth and what's going on with that wrist and how serious is this, and will it require Jordan to go under the knife in the offseason and you cut somebody. Cut him. You cut somebody, and it's going to take time to heal up. So when we come back, we're going to touch on what we know about this injury and then hear from Jordan himself, who spent, in fairness, the majority of his press conference talking about what he physically is going through, what happens when it goes wrong, what pain does that cause him, and what action does it sound like? It's not a question of if, when he is going to take it, and it sounds like that time is coming up soon. Stay with us.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The Gen 6 iron is a culmination of everything that we have learned as a team, the absolute best golf club I've ever hit. It's something special. Say hello to the new PXG Gen 6 iron. The longest, most accurate irons we've ever made. They go higher and farther than any iron that I have hit to date, and they're so easy to hit. Super excited for the consumer to try this. They're gonna love them.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm going to go after the PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're going to need all the easy you can get.
Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? or an entire week, there's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
All right, welcome back to the Fairways of Life show. I think the best way to understand and explain the injury that Jordan Spieth is dealing with is to hear it from Jordan, because it's not there all the time. It's when it pops out of place in that left wrist. Supposedly, he injured it back at the 2023 PGA Championship at Oak Hill, and now, all these months later, over a year, it has not healed. So let's start with Jordan being asked by a journalist, tell us about what's going on with the wrist. What does this mean?
My goal this week is to try to move up as far as I can in the FedEx Cup and head into the playoffs with on a high note. I love the golf course. I think it's spectacular. You can't hide it. Can't hide your game. And I like the Bermuda. You got to think your way around it. You can't really miss above the hole out here. And then when you're on the greens, it requires a lot of precision and touch. So with the forecast, we'll see how much what I'm saying matters. But that's a bit kind of maybe unfortunate for the event, but everyone's going to have to deal with it, and then may make it a little bit more scoreable, so you change your mindset a little bit in that regard. But looks like the weekend will be beautiful, so hopefully we move along just fine, and hopefully forecast improves. I think if you talk about like the weeks leading into a major, I've always voiced that the tournament's about the tournament, and the best you can play that week is the best that you can possibly prepare. The golf course next week requires similar. Around the greens, it's Zoysia next week, so it's a little bit different. This is a little more challenging. But as far as the heat, the other grass types, the way the greens putt, it's actually really, really similar. So I don't have to make like a lot of weird adjustments thinking about like maybe you put in a 3-iron to get ready for the Open. There's no equipment adjustments or shot adjustments from this week into next, so it's kind of nice. You can really stay focused on just this event. And I'm aware that a win goes a long way, but so does playing good, consistent golf. Yeah, it's been a frustrating year because it's been maybe my best driving year ever. And then the clubs that I make the most impact into the ground with, which are normally my bread and butter, have been pretty off. And it's not hurting, but subconsciously it's hard not to look at the numbers and think this isn't a coincidence. So I've been taking trips out, as well as being in contact with a lot of doctors, getting it scanned again and trying to figure out what the next move is. And I'm probably going to have to do something about it this off season. So I'm going to pretend nothing's happening, fully trust it, given that I'll be able to get it fixed. And I know there's a lot of golfers that, have had similar situations and come back, better than ever. And I like to think, hopefully I have 10 to 15 years of, prime and some of my best golf left. So I'll be optimistic about the process, but I'm not quite sure exactly what I'll do and where I'll do it. But unfortunately, something kind of has to get done, and I've never experienced anything like this before. So just trying to take my time, making sure that things are done right and in the right time. I'm not in any pain playing. That's what's confusing. If I was, I wouldn't have played anymore. It's all off the golf course, weird little things where my tendon will kind of pop out, sublex or dislocate out of the groove, and then I got to get it back in, or else I wouldn't be able to grip a club. But if it was a problem at all, I've not withdrawn from an event. It's a very weird scenario, and it's one that's been a little frustrating because I would have liked to have known this is the answer or this is the answer, and I've just had to figure it out.
How long have you been relatively pain-free?
Why, the whole time. I'm pain-free until it sublexes, and then I'm in very much pain until I get it back. it's like.
I mean, there was a time when you did have some wrist pain, right?
Sure. I mean, I've had the same hand. I've had a bone spur back in 2021, and it's not related to this issue. Okay. But this is pain when it happens, but it's not happening during my swing at all. But it it happened May of last year, October of last year, and then it's happened. Now it happens like every other week or every week-ish at one point in time. So it's something that's, I don't think from what I understand, it doesn't heal or get better. So it's more of a way of life decision, and because I don't have any, when I'm hitting balls, I'm not thinking about it, I'm not worried about it, but I just don't know subconsciously how it's too tough to measure if it's not making a difference. But yeah, I have no pain excuses, or else there's no reason to play if you feel like you're going to play through pain or not be at your best.
Okay, so there's a lot of question marks raised with that. Jordan was talking about when it sublexes, and then he had that quote in there where he was talking about, well, here it happened here, then it happened there, and then he said, quoting, now it happens every other week or every week-ish, close quote. That doesn't sound good. We get that it's not healing, but it actually sounds like it's getting worse. Dom, what's the actual medical term for what's going on? And when you look it up, is it anything that you could kind of understand in terms of how it explains?
Yes to all of those things. I'm going to mispronounce this, but I will try. Extensor carpi ulnaris, the ECU, and then that's talking about the
extensor
tendon and the instability in that.
Say it again.
Extensor. I mean, these are all like terms of, right? The extensor, like the part of your bones and stuff on the outside of your hand that you're looking at. If you look at the right-hand side of your screen, that image. And carpi, like carpal, like your fingers. Ulnaris, that's the ulnar bone right there. The ECU, so you can see like the green thing on the right running up along the arm. Up where it connects to the pinky finger is that tendon. And then if you look to the left, those two images there, that yellow thing is the same thing as the green thing on the right side of the hand. It's the tendon. And the heath, the little thing that holds that yellow tendon in place, is that little red square. That is what is damaged or torn or ripped off in Spieth's wrist. And when he rotates his arm, left or right or up or down, depending on how he does it and the pressure that he does it with, that yellow tendon will pop out of its groove, pop out of its place. And as he mentioned in the press conference that we just listened to, when that happens, that's when it's extremely painful, and he's trying to pop it back into place. I don't know if he uses his hand or whatever. Now, something else that's really interesting about this is this is not an uncommon injury in golf. So I want to read something to you that might surprise you.
All right.
This is a rookie diary, and I'll tell you who this is in a second, from 2010. This is part of a Golf Week feature. I'm sure everyone knows by now, but just in case you haven't heard, I had wrist surgery on March 8th that effectively ended my rookie year on the PGA Tour. The surgery was done by this guy who also performed surgery on these people. The ECU tendon in my wrist was in subluxation, meaning it kept popping in and out of place. My injury was very similar to that of Luke Donald. He had his repaired about 2 years ago. So Luke Donald had this exact same injury. The wrist did not hurt all the time. It only hurt when I came through impact and had to rotate my left hand over, and that's when the tendon would pop out of place. This is literally what Jordan Spieth was just saying. I had to have shots. I was trying to get it fixed. It didn't get fixed, et cetera, and then I needed to get surgery. As for the healing process, it will probably take, so this is after this person had the surgery.
Yeah.
As for the healing process, it will probably be 6 weeks with a splint or cast, and then 6 weeks of rehab. After those 6 weeks, I believe I will be able to start putting and then work my way up to chipping and then hitting full shots. We'll see how everything goes. I'm hoping before the end of the year I'll be able to play golf again. That person, Billy Horschel.
Wow. Who's in the field this week at
the
Wyndham Championship.
This is a thing that is overcomable. I mean, Billy Horschel has actually been playing some pretty good golf this year. And this was the surgery that he had 14 years ago.
Very interesting stuff. I have to tell you, though, that the name of the injury sounds very much like it's straight out of a Harry Potter film. It's like extensor carpi armatus.
It's the name of the tendon, Matt. It's not the name of the injury.
To you, Dominic. All right, so we'll leave you with this, having had this discussion. Now that you just heard this ominous forecast, yet hopeful results, perhaps, for Jordan Spieth, where do we stand? Where do we stand with your question of the day, which basically was a very cruel
is his career over because of this?
Question
62% are saying no. And then 22% are like, well, let's see how this wrist surgery goes.
All right, repeat the question again and give us the totals, please.
Is Jordan Spieth's career over? 16% say yes. 62% are saying no, he'll be fine. He'll figure it out.
I
and
bet that number's going up
say he'll
now.
figure it out depending on how that wrist surgery goes.
Well, yes. Thank you for that. That percentage.
There you go.
Celebration of the obvious choice.
There you go.
Yes. Okay. Well, extensor carpi.
I will say that I am surprised about the Horschel stuff. I didn't know any of that, and that makes me kind of hopeful about Jordan. Like maybe this isn't
that's
so
why
bad.
I
Maybe
figured
this
the
is no
numbers
big
were
deal.
changing, because we're talking about players that we know that have gone through it, and we know that they've gotten to the other side and they're seemingly okay. We don't know whether they've dealt with it for a year and a half and what kind of damage that has done, but it sounds to me like it's something that is. How did you phrase it? You made up your own medical term. I can't remember.
I made up a medical term.
Yeah, it was good. Whatever
Just
you
now?
said, we'll have to play it back. Whatever you said
What
it,
are
and I was
you
like,
talking
when you were describing it just now, you used a term that I was like, is that even a real word? But it sounded medical-ish, so I'll go with it. That it
Whatever it
seems like
was, I'm sure it was accurate.
It was what? It was very accurate. All right, folks, I'm on my way out of here. I got to get to the Wyndham Championship on a boat, and our coverage is due to kick off at 7:15 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow morning. What we'll be talking about, as Dom so eloquently put it, I do not know yet, but we'll see how it plays itself out in the coming days. Hope your coming days are good ones. Thanks so much for your company. Be well, and goodbye for now.